Okie dokie. Okay, checking that I'm live. Um, who can say? Who can say? It's exciting though, right? Never done one of these. Never done one of these. Um, but here you go. Hi, everybody. Hello. Welcome to King's Head KHT Online for today, Thursday. Don't know what date, don't know where we are. October, great. I'm Heather. Just going to do a bit of a chit chat for a little bit, approximately half an hour, and talk to you about who I am and what's going on at King's Head at the moment. So yeah, I know it's all working. This is great. This is great. Hello, everybody. Having a lovely time. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. So I think I'll just introduce myself basically and just see. Great. I'm going on both of them. I've been reassured by the outside world, which is wonderful, because currently just sitting in my house talking to myself. Nice. Also, I will just say potentially some background noise. There's some little people playing quite actively downstairs. They belong to me. They're being supervised by other adults at the moment. It's okay. Don't worry, everybody. Also, there's some building work that's just happening just below the windows. So good. Could be a little noisy, but at the moment I'm just hoping they're on lunch and we're okay. But yeah. Oh, I've paused on Instagram. I'm back, guys. I'm back. It's okay. But yeah, so hi, I'm Heather. I am one of the trustees on the board of King's Head Theatre, and I've been on the board for about 5 years now, I think. And yeah, so I said I would do one of these sessions and have a bit of a chat. And by all means, if you guys have got any questions, then fire them over. I'm keeping an eye on my two little screens here, doing my best to pay attention to that. And yeah, I'm going to just tell you basically about me, right? What I'm doing and why I'm here talking today, and some things that we're looking at doing coming up at King's Head. So yeah, basically, so as I was saying, I am a board member and have been for about 5 years now, and I joined the board because I was very familiar with Adam's work, and Adam and I had actually met about 10 years ago. First time we worked together was, in fact, on a show that he produced at Riverside Studios when I was programming there some time ago now. Must have been like 2008, maybe 2009. And he produced and directed The York Realist by Peter Gill, who was, in fact, the original artistic director of Riverside. So that was actually a really nice thing that we had there. And then we've sort of kept in touch. I followed his work. And then, yeah, joined the board about 5 years ago, which was great. And I've really enjoyed working with that team and working with the staff team as well at King's Head, who are all just phenomenal and so dedicated. It's amazing. But yes, I worked with Adam, who, as I'm sure you are all now aware, has just recently stepped down from his position as artistic director with us at King's Head. And he was in that role for 10 years, which is quite amazing. And I feel that we were so lucky as an organisation and as a venue to have Adam for so long. And I think he did I know he did some amazing work, and it was really exciting to see the audiences develop and the work develop, and the continuation of some of the stuff that was in place already, and just how that then grew, and sort of the ethos of the King's Head continuing to grow through that time. And so then Now, it's 2020, guys. It's all a bit weird out there. I don't know if anyone mentioned that. But so at the moment, we aren't able to operate, as I'm sure you're aware, which is why we're doing sessions like this one. We are, our doors are physically shut, but metaphorically always open. Um, but so unfortunately, and then it's just one of those times where everyone's doing a lot of reassessing, and I think that fair enough. It's kind of after 10 years, and it's so much work that Adam has put in, and I'm just so grateful for everything that he did. And so while we're in the current process of recruiting for a new AD, which is it's a difficult time to recruit right now. So I am sort of stepping across, if you will, from the board to work with our amazing executive director Fiona English and the rest of the team to sort of, I'm here caretaking. Let's say caretaking for a little while we transition to having a new artistic director. And I feel very honoured to be able to be doing this and talking to many of the artists that have been working with King's Head and will be continuing to work with. And we're just sort of looking at different ways that we can continue to work and exist and be useful and important to our community, our audiences, our artists that we work with, all the freelancers that we work with, all the creatives. It's it's hard to not get caught up in the sort of the rhetoric that's going on politically and in the world, and we are most certainly viable, and we will be sticking around. So there you go. Yeah, but I was also going to give you a little bit of a background as to who I am and what I've done previously and why am I here now. So going back to let's go back to the very very beginning, not birth, too far, but when I first started, when I went to university, I guess is probably the easiest bit. I'd obviously been interested in the arts and been encouraged to be involved in artistic practices as I was growing up, and quite a creative family. My mother was a photographer, and we just sort of, it was always part of our life. And the high school I went to actually was had a really strong music program. So I played cello and trombone in the school bands and school orchestras, and that was very, very much part of my life growing up. And so that kind of love of live performance and connection between people and like audiences, performers, the music, everything tying us all together started quite young. I then, when I went to university, I studied dance and drama. I'd kind of got a taste for drama towards the end of high school and was like, yeah, I reckon this is for me. And I went to the Rusden campus of Deakin University. It's no longer there. The university is, that campus is not. It was a very special place, and a lot of us miss it a great deal. Not too much sentimental, I'll move on. So what I studied there was dance and drama. Now, I'd never actually studied dance until I got to university, so that was interesting, and it was kind of a big learning curve, but just amazing. And I just am so grateful that that's the process that they had in place, that if you wanted to do drama, you also had to audition for dance and give it a go. Like, you had to give everything a go. So that was amazing. And I ended up doing a double major and going on to focus more on dance, in fact, for a little while, and choreographed some pieces for a little bit. And that was sort of my first step into producing as well at university. And the course that they ran at Deakin, it wasn't that, so when you had your major obviously, and you had the sort of like the discipline that you wanted to focus in, but it didn't have a separate design or stage management or production management. It didn't have any of those sorts of courses alongside it. And so as part of our course and part of our training, we learnt bits and pieces of all of that, which was incredibly useful. And it meant that then you were being taught to be creators and makers. You weren't being, it wasn't I guess you weren't like pigeonholing yourself in many ways, because I think if you are, I don't know this because I didn't actually do straight acting at uni, so I'm speculating a bit, and people might disagree. Sorry about that. Thoughts, just rambling. But what it meant for me was that it opened up my eyes and my whole world really to what the other stuff that went on, and I loved performing. I really enjoyed it, but I'm also, when I was there, I then learned how much I loved and enjoyed being involved in putting something on. So it wasn't just being on stage. I really got into the making shit happen, for want of a better expression, that because I don't have one at the moment. Um, and yeah, so that was my first taste of producing, I guess, because we had to cover off all aspects of it. And very grateful for that process, because I think otherwise I would have potentially just lost my focus, and who knows where I would have gone. Maybe I would have gone back and done the teaching degree and had that as a job. Who knows? Anyway, I also had a job that was part-time in a comedy venue at this stage, which was quite crucial, it turns out, to my career development as well. And from there, I started to work for the Melbourne Comedy Festival. I produced a show with some of my friends from university. We made a show at the Melbourne Comedy Festival, which was called Judy Jorgensen's Stress Management Class. Bit of a mouthful. We used Comic Sans on the poster, which I'm incredibly embarrassed about now, but at the time we thought it was a great idea. So there you go. And I keep pausing on Instagram. That's a bit sad. Okay, I think I'm back again. And then I also got a job working with one of the biggest comedy agencies in Australia, or probably the biggest comedy agency in Australia, really. And I first started working for them on kind of an industry grant scheme that they had called the Moosehead Awards in Melbourne. And that was taking on a sort of a developing producer and working with 3 or 4 different shows. There were also artists that were developing something and doing something that was a bit out of the norm, not necessarily straight up commercially viable, a bit more experimental. And it was just such a phenomenal opportunity. And yeah, that then set me on a path for being a part of the comedy industry for quite a while there. And I went on to work with Token for several years, and I did a lot of touring. Okay, it just keeps pausing on Instagram, but that's fine. They'll catch up. And travelled all around Australia a lot of times in tiny planes and cars. It's a few miles to cover, guys. It's a pretty big place. And that was amazing. I also did a lot of the festival stuff there. And the festival scene there was pretty big when I was there, but I've actually been in the UK about 13 or 14 years. So it's really disappointing internet from my phone and the Instagram. Sorry everybody if that's just dropping out. Yeah, and so I got a taste of festival work there as well, I think, which is sort of pretty key to where I then went on when you sort of look back and look at how it all came together. And yeah, we did some amazing things, and just I genuinely don't think I knew at the time how much it was and how important that was to me to have been learning all of that at that time. But it was, yeah, crucial. Yeah. There's a question. Who would you recommend? Oh, hi, Julia. Me. Say hi. At the moment, the team is furloughed. Sorry, the question is, who would you recommend introducing myself to, and how in these times, at the King's Head, as a current directing grad and choreographer? So at the moment, I would say drop me an email, or just say either via Facebook. We've also, what I will just say, I'll segue back into talking about me again in a second. I've been distracted by engagement and conversation, which is really exciting. We've got a group called KHT Connected on Facebook. So if you have a little search for that, join up, that's kind of, I'll talk more about that in a bit, but that's a good way. And also my email address is heather@kingsheadtheatre.com. So that's a good start. And then we will have the rest of the gang back in November. So then we can kind of do more talking and more catching up and seeing what people are up to and creating and making. But yeah, drop me a line for sure. Yes, anyway, I did comedy in Australia. I loved it. I moved to the UK, and when I came over here, I started with a 5-week job that I'd lined up at no worries, at Assembly in Edinburgh at the Fringe there, and I was working as the assistant comedy producer with Rebecca Austin, legend, and then from there I went on to William Bidette Coots was the AD, and he was the AD at Riverside Studios then as well. So I then had the opportunity to move to London, and I was working as a program manager there at Riverside, which was amazing. It was a phenomenal opportunity, and I found it really exciting, really challenging, obviously, but it was a really a brilliant way to kind of just jump in and get my head around the scene in the UK, because I'd literally just landed. So, and I mean, some of the companies that I got to work with, sorry, it was just brilliant. I mean, we did Force Entertainment was one of my favourites that we had there. That was extraordinary. Some amazing work. Wrestling School was there at the time as well. Worked with Dance Umbrella. Dance Umbrella used Riverside Studios as one of their venues for their festival, which was the work that brought in through different international dance companies was amazing. A whole bunch of other British and international companies. It was amazing. Anyway, so that was a really brilliant opportunity for me, and also that sort of, there was still a time with the comedy industry in the UK, and then I also then after that I did that for a little while. Then I went and did some more touring. Spent quite a bit of time driving around the countryside with people like Frank Boyle and Sarah Millican and Jack Whitehall for a bit. I've had some brilliant times on the road, and learnt a lot about the touring market in the UK through that, and also all the different venues, and learnt a lot about all the cities outside of London. So which was necessary, because otherwise, if you just land here and you just stay here, there's really a lot to be distracted by in London, and it's quite easy not to know about the rest of the country, but there is so much being made and created and happening everywhere else. So yeah, it was kind of in and out in a day most times, so I didn't get too much, but I got to see what was happening around the place, and see a lot more spaces and see how people were running venues, which was really interesting and really useful. And then I went back to Assembly, and I joined the programming team there, where I stayed for 6 or 7 years, quite old, and led the team from the programming team from 2014, which also meant that I was leading on the press and marketing side of things as well, and then in 2018, after that festival, I sort of decided that it was time to pass over that mantle to someone else to have a go, because it's an amazing experience, and it's huge, and it's pretty extraordinary. And I think what I loved about that was obviously working on the Fringe and working in Edinburgh. This is the first year, as with pretty much everybody who is attached to the Fringe, that I haven't been in Edinburgh in the summer, which has been a very strange feeling. I don't really know what this year is anymore. I don't think any of us do. It's just a thing that we're getting through, right? But yeah, so Edinburgh is very, very special to me, and the companies that you meet, the people that you meet, the individuals, the artists, and what I loved about my role there was how I was able to support people and provide a platform for artists and companies to present their work that could then go on and have a life outside and journey on to the world and continue to grow um, for them and for the shows. And I think it was massive. We would have over 200 shows a festival, which is, it's quite a few to pull together and in such an intense period of time. And I know that the other bigger venues do that as well. And I think, I can't even remember what Pleasance is up to now. I think it's millions. Is it millions, guys? Is it that many? Nearly. But it's amazing. And it's phenomenal. And it's obviously it's a festival that sort of this forced break. I don't know. Hopefully, it will be a bit of a time of reflection for everybody and sort of go, okay, right, what do we need out of it? Because there are some very relevant and very important conversations happening around access in all forms of that as a term for participants, for artists, for audiences, and how accessible it is, and how that needs to be discussed and dealt with in different ways, and it's particularly because it is an open access festival. But anyway, that's a sort of like, that's a favourite side topic to just kind of chat on for a while. How open is the open access? But anyway, I do a lot of fringe programming is the short version, and I got to doing this by doing a bunch of other things first. So I have had experience in a whole lot of different genres and worked with, commercial stuff, unfunded stuff, funded stuff, bits of everything, and then, on all different scales. So from, the 40, 50 seat venues, in fact, we had some in Edinburgh, we've had 1 and 2 seat venues, we had some one-on-ones, we had I've had a few different amazing things up there. Anyway, reminiscing again. And right up through to arenas, which are mental, by the way. Extraordinary but mental things to be doing. It's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal to be part of something that you can look out and see that there are literally 10,000 people having an amazing time, and not on stage, not saying I'm the one that's bringing that joy, but to be part of making that happen is, like, there's just genuinely no feeling like it. It's extraordinary. I have waffled for quite some time. Okie doke. So anyway, at the moment, I'll get back onto King's Head. Stop talking about me. So as I was saying, that it's we're physically shut at the moment. We are not able to operate based on government guidelines. There's a couple of those boxes that we just can't tick. It's not through a want of trying. It's not through we just can't make enough money. That's not it at all. We just physically cannot make this happen at the moment. So we are, I say we, and I mean, when I say we, I mean at the moment, Fiona English, who I've already mentioned, our ED, and then the other two extraordinary women who are holding everything together at the moment of King's Head are Layla and Shadi, and just amazing. So great to work with. And Charlie's been making all this KHTOnline stuff happen, and really instrumental with the Connected group and things like that. So what we're looking to do at the moment is to continue working in a way that we can support our community and keep people connected and keep things happening, keep conversations happening, not just me talking over the top of everyone. Again, if you've got any questions that would, I don't know, throw them in. Happy to, just keeping an eye on the things, and probably, anyway. But yeah, so we're looking at different ways that we can be working, and obviously some venues are open, which is very exciting. I haven't actually seen any grown-up theatre since that's started happening. I have, however, seen Dinosaurs Live, and I got to go and see the Little Angel Theatre when they were in Islington Square, and I cannot wait to go back into their actual venue. And I just saw Pleasance in Islington are opening, so go Team Islington. This is pretty exciting that there's stuff coming up and around, which is great. But yeah, so we're looking at what we can be doing in other ways. To help work with our artists, to have them engaged in things and creating and making, and having an offering for our audience, and looking at ways that we can continue to be King's Head, and do what we do, and provide a space and a platform for people to make and develop and grow. Um, and I think that I keep saying audience as an artist, and I because I genuinely do believe that that sits on both sides of the stage of that fourth wall, which we don't really have. But yeah, that so working with our audiences to continue to help develop them and expose them to different things that they haven't seen before, and to twist stuff that they have seen and that they like. I mean, obviously the opera stuff, I love that. And that taking something so classic and so known in a certain way, and then just here you go. Have you thought about it like this? I love it. It's really, it's really exciting. I find it really exciting. Um, and obviously, working with the LGBTQ plus community as well, and what we can be continuing to make and create with different companies there. And it's, yeah, we've got some plans, guys. We've got some plans. Um, and then we're looking towards what we can be doing next year, and obviously building towards a new venue as well, which is it will more on that later. But I think the thing that's quite interesting at the moment to play with and to get involved in is the KHT Connected, which is a Facebook group that we've set up, and it's so that we can keep people in contact with each other and keep conversations happening. And I think that one of the things that's really tricky and really sad about the moment that we're in is that sort of early career artists and early career creators aren't having the same sort of opportunities and experiences of working with other people and having that just the growth and how much you learn from when you're in a room with other people. And obviously in a Zoom with other people it's not the same, but it's still being able to be connected. And so having things that are happening that are kind of working together on projects, trying to, and just setting up little exercises for each other to do to keep engaged, and just making connections and sort of having a little, I mean, I really don't want to say networking, but it's probably the tidiest word to explain what is useful about it in some ways. So have a little search on the Facebook for KHT Connected. Come and join us there. And yeah, and in oh, awesome. Shadi, nailing it again, has just put a little link up in the chats on Facebook. So just go there. Done it. She's done it. It's amazing. I can't do that from Instagram. You'll have to look at it yourself. Yeah, so I guess if there are any questions, I haven't really said anything that you could question, I guess. Just talked. But yeah, I think we're just going to, what I'd like to do while I'm here, not, and I said this to someone the other day, and it seems to be the most useful way to describe it as well, is that I'm not here to reinvent the wheel, I'm here to keep the wheel rolling. So what I'm working with the team, and I cannot wait for everyone to be back in November, it's so exciting, and to be creating stuff again, and be able to be making things happen. I can't really talk about what they are at the moment because it's secret. So, but just working with people and sort of looking out for more new work. And obviously we're sort of, there's a lot of stuff that was programmed for 2020 that hasn't been able to happen. So that we're sort of, looking at how best to rehouse everybody and things like that as well, clearly. Yeah, sort of looking at how we can help people continue to develop and grow and work on their craft, because we are all trained and we are all training and we are in a viable industry and our work is important and we will continue to do it. So please join us. Please come along for that ride. I think, yeah, I don't know, if anyone wanted to ask anything about, I don't know, what I actually plan to do through all that waffle, feel free. Otherwise, I might just kind of wrap it up, I guess. Was absolutely terrified before I started this, and now I seem to have survived it. So good news, good news. Thanks everybody for being there throughout this little journey, this little chat. Keep doing what you're doing. Have a look around. There are other people out there And do get in touch. Do get in touch through any of the King's Head channels, as you would expect and assume. You can reach us, but as I said, my email is heather@kingsheadtheatre.com. Drop me a line. I'm on Instagram and Twitter as well, but I can't really. I don't do the Twitters very well. I don't tweet, so probably I'm Heather Ruck at on Instagram if you want to come there, see some pictures of my kids. It's great. Cool. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. I am going to go now, and you have yourself a lovely afternoon. But yeah, if you do have any other questions, just drop me a line. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Stop. And